You already know something is off. Someone says, "I promise," and instead of feeling reassured, you feel more anxious. Someone's nice to you, and your first instinct is to wonder why. Someone actually shows up for you consistently, without drama, and somehow that makes you more nervous, not less, like you're just waiting for the part where it falls apart. And the worst bit? You're aware of it. You can see yourself doing it. You watch yourself pull back from people who haven't done anything wrong. You catch yourself reading into silences, replaying conversations, scanning for the moment someone's tone shifts slightly. And you think, what is wrong with me? Nothing. Literally nothing is wrong with you. But something happened to you, and your brain, being the extremely loyal, extremely dramatic protector that it is, decided it was never going to let that happen again. That decision is running your social life right now. And you didn't even consciously make it. That's what we're unpacking today. Not to make you softer or more naive, not to tell you to just open up, but to actually show you what's happening inside your brain, why it does this, why normal advice makes it worse, and what quietly actually works. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see yourself completely differently. Let's start where nobody starts. Your brain doesn't process trust the way people think it does. It's not a choice you make in the moment. It's not a personality setting you can adjust. Trust, real, felt in your body trust, is a prediction. Your brain is constantly running calculations in the background. Is this person safe? Will they do what they say? If I let them in, what happens? And here's the thing about predictions. They're based on past data. Your brain is not judging the person in front of you. Not really. It's matching them against a pattern it already built. A pattern made from every person who came before them. Every time someone said one thing and did another. Every time you got close and then got hurt. Every time the warmth disappeared without warning, your brain took notes. You just didn't know it. And now it applies those notes to everyone, automatically, without asking your permission. That's not a trust issue, that's a trust injury. And there is a massive difference between the two. A trust issue sounds like a flaw. Like you're the problem. Like you're broken and need fixing. A trust injury means something happened, it left a mark, and your nervous system adapted to protect the wound. Which one actually sounds like your experience? Here's where it gets really interesting. There's a psychological concept called, and I'll say this simply because the technical name makes people zone out, there's a concept called an emotional prediction error. Your brain, when it comes to people, is essentially a pattern machine. It builds a model of how relationships work based on early experiences, and then it filters every new person through that model. So if the model says people leave, your brain will unconsciously look for evidence that this person is about to leave, even when they're standing right in front of you. If the model says closeness leads to pain, your brain will start creating distance before closeness even fully arrives. It's not sabotage, it's your brain trying to win a game it already lost once. But here's what makes it exhausting. And this is the part that people never say out loud. The same brain doing all this protective work is also desperately quietly aching to connect, to actually trust someone. To relax, to stop scanning, to feel safe with another human being without the background hum of waiting for something to go wrong. You're not cold. You're not closed off. You are completely exhausted from holding two opposite things at once, wanting connection and fearing it with equal intensity. That tension? That's the actual experience of trust issues, not the movie's version where you're suspicious and dramatic. The real version, where you're quiet and tired and you just want to stop feeling like this. Now let me tell you what's physically happening, because this isn't just emotional, this is in your body. When your nervous system learns to expect emotional threat, unpredictability, rejection, betrayal, it moves into a state called hypervigilance. And I know that word sounds clinical, but what it feels like is this. You're always slightly braced. Even when nothing is happening, even when the day is fine, even when the person in front of you is genuinely good, you're alert, on low-level standby, like a smoke detector that's so sensitive it goes off when someone makes toast. Physically, this looks like tension in your chest or shoulders, a kind of low-grade restlessness you can't explain, difficulty fully enjoying moments because your brain is half somewhere else running calculations. Emotional hangovers after social interactions, not because anything bad happened, but because your brain was working overtime the whole time. And this is why people with trust injuries are often called too sensitive or too intense. It's not that you're feeling too much, it's that your nervous system is processing more than the average person's because it was trained to. You're picking up signals most people don't even register. That's not a weakness. That's a tuned instrument. The problem is just that it got tuned in a really painful environment. Here's the part that might sting a little. Think back. Before the guarded version of you fully settled in, there was a moment where you actually opened up. You gave someone real access. You let the walls come down. You believed them, and then something happened. Maybe it was dramatic. An obvious betrayal, a sudden disappearance, a lie that unraveled everything. Or maybe it was quieter than that. Maybe it was just the slow realization that who you thought they were wasn't real, that the warmth was conditional, that you misread it. And in that moment, or across many moments, your brain made a decision you didn't consciously agree to. It said, "This is not worth the risk," not about that one person, about people, about closeness itself, about the version of you that trusted. And here's what's really cruel about that. The decision felt rational in the moment. It was protective. It made sense. But the brain doesn't write that decision in pencil. It writes it in permanent marker, and then it applies it everywhere. For years, to strangers, to people who are nothing like the person who hurt you. You've been paying the debt of one relationship, or one childhood, or one pattern in every relationship since. Now, the advice you've probably already tried. Just let people in. You tried. It didn't automatically feel safe. Give them a chance. You did, and either they disappointed you or even when they didn't, the anxiety didn't stop. You have to trust at some point. You know that. Knowing it doesn't make the body follow. Not everyone is like that. Correct. But your nervous system isn't listening to logic. It's listening to pattern. And the pattern is still running. Here's why all of that advice fails. It's all aimed at the thought layer, the conscious mind, and your trust response doesn't live there. It lives in the nervous system, in the part of your brain that operates below conscious thought, the part that can't be reasoned with directly. You cannot think your way out of a survival response. You can only work with it differently. And that's what actually works. Not more logic, not more willpower, not forcing yourself to be more open. Working with the system, not against it. Let me show you what that looks like. The first shift is subtle, but it's probably the most important thing in this video. Stop trying to decide whether someone is trustworthy. That's the trap. The moment you frame it as, "I need to figure out if this person is safe," your brain goes into threat analysis mode. It starts hunting for evidence, and when the brain is hunting for something, it finds it. Every ambiguous text becomes a data point. Every moment they seem distracted becomes suspicious. The analysis loop starts and it doesn't stop. Instead, stay in observation mode. No conclusion yet. This person showed up. Noted. This person was honest when they didn't have to be. Noted. This person acted inconsistently. Also noted. But no verdict. Not yet. You're just collecting. You're not deciding. This sounds simple, but for a brain that was trained to make rapid threat assessments, choosing to stay in open observation feels genuinely uncomfortable. It will feel like you're being naive, like you're not protecting yourself. But you're not being naive, you're being accurate. And accuracy means you don't lock in a verdict before you have enough information. Most people with trust injuries make the verdict too early. Either too trusting in the beginning, all in, walls completely down for a short honeymoon period, then crash, or walls up immediately, verdict locked, never giving the person a real chance. The middle path, observing without concluding, that's where you rebuild discernment. Real discernment. Not paranoia, not blind trust. Actual read of who someone actually is. The second shift is learning to separate the signal from the ghost. Here's what I mean. Sometimes the anxiety you feel about a person is your instinct picking up something real, a genuine inconsistency. A pattern that doesn't quite add up, an energy that your gut has registered before your brain has put words to it. That's a signal. It deserves attention. But sometimes, and you have to be honest with yourself here, the anxiety isn't about this person at all. It's about the person before them, or the one before that. The fear that shows up when they take too long to reply isn't necessarily about them. It might be about the one who used silence as a weapon. The fear that shows up when they seem distracted isn't about them. It might be about someone who slowly checked out before they left. The body stores those memories. And when the present moment rhymes with the past, even slightly, the body responds to the original memory, not the current moment. So when the anxiety spikes, there's one question worth asking, and I mean really sitting with it. Not just quickly running through it, does this fear belong to right now, or is it older than this moment? That question alone can change the entire trajectory of a spiral, because once you identify it as an echo from the past, the charge drops. Not completely, but enough. Enough to respond from the present instead of reacting from the past. The third shift is the one people resist most. You have to consciously register safety, not just the absence of threat, actual safety. This sounds obvious. It's not. Your brain, when it's been in hypervigilance mode for a long time, becomes much better at registering danger than it is at registering calm. It's tuned for the threat. The non-threat barely registers. That's why you can have 50 interactions with someone that go completely fine, and one slightly ambiguous moment, and it's the ambiguous moment that stays with you. Your threat file is full. Your safety file is almost empty. So you have to build it deliberately, not by forcing yourself to feel safe, but by pausing briefly when you notice something that genuinely felt okay. He said what he meant and meant what he said. She checked in without being asked. That conversation felt easy. That felt real. Just notice it. Don't analyze it. Just let it land for a second. This is how you start updating the nervous system's model. Not through grand gestures of forced vulnerability. Through quiet, repeated, real moments of, oh, that was okay. That was actually fine. The nervous system changes the same way it got injured, through repeated experience. You have to give it new data, consistently, over time. Here's the resistance you're going to feel. I want to name it before it blindsides you. This process is going to feel slow. And at some point it's going to feel fake, like you're just telling yourself a story to feel better. Especially the safety logging. Your brain will go, okay, but that's just one moment. It doesn't mean anything. Or, you're just being naive again. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is the old protection mechanism running its script. It's doing what it was trained to do. Think of it like physiotherapy after an injury. The first few times you put weight on it, it doesn't feel natural. Your body is still compensating, still flinching. You have to gently, consistently ask it to move differently, knowing it's going to resist, knowing it's going to feel uncomfortable, knowing it might not feel real for a while. That discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign the old pattern is meeting new information for the first time. That friction is the process. Real change with trust doesn't feel like suddenly waking up open-hearted and free. It feels like one interaction that went better than expected. One moment you stayed present instead of spiraling. One conversation where the walls came down just slightly and nothing bad happened. Small, quiet, real. That's what it actually looks like. There is one thing I need to say before we close. Sometimes the feeling is valid. Sometimes the distrust is not a wound misfiring. Sometimes it's your instincts rooting someone correctly. And the work of healing is not about overriding your gut. It's about cleaning the lens so you can actually trust it again. If someone is genuinely inconsistent, notice that. If someone's words and actions don't match, that's data, not anxiety. The goal was never to become someone who trusts everyone without discernment. The goal is to be able to tell the difference between real danger and an old shadow, because right now you might be giving the same response to both. And the person in front of you, who might be decent, who might be safe, who might actually be worth knowing, is getting the full weight of everyone who came before them. That's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them. You deserve relationships where your nervous system can actually rest. Here's where I want to leave you. You are not someone with a broken compass. You're someone whose compass was calibrated in rough terrain. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It kept you safe. It read the room. It adapted. But the terrain has changed, or it can change. And the compass can learn new coordinates. You are not your guard. You are not your walls. You are not the accumulated scar tissue of everyone who handled you carelessly. You are someone who learned, and someone who learned can always learn differently. The people who seem effortlessly trusting, they weren't born that way. They just got different data early. That's it. That is the entire difference. You can build new data. Starting now. Starting with how you interpret the small, quiet moments that actually go okay. Starting with the question, does this belong to now or to then? Starting with staying in observation instead of locking in a verdict. It's not fast, but it's real, and real is the only thing that actually lasts. There's something closely connected to this, and honestly it might matter even more, about why emotional unavailability shows up in the people we keep choosing, why the patterns repeat, why we're sometimes drawn to people who feel familiar in exactly the wrong way. That one's next, and if any of this landed, that one's going to land harder.